Good time of day, guys! My name is Godzi, and welcome back to another episode of Higurashi When They Cry, Ch.3 Tatarigoroshi. Last episode, Keiichi and the rest of the club had their bento showdown, and it evolved into a freaking court case of Keiichi defending his own lunch that he didn't make. And then Chie killed Keiichi, Satoko, and Rika, buried them in her backyard, and the rest of this arc is going to be about Rena and Mion just being like, now what do? We don't have the whole group synergy, what the fuck? Oh god, we gotta find replacements. We're going to replace Keiichi with Oishi, Rika and Satoko with... fuck, who? Tomatake and Takano, I guess. Why not? They're probably both gonna die still, but you know, whatever. It'll be fine. And we're also gonna have to hold club anywhere that's not school, because death by association, I suppose. Also, it'd be weird to have, you know, middle-aged people in a classroom full of children, but, you know, whatever. Well, assuming they're not teachers, but that's besides the point. Anyways, we're gonna go into spoiler time for a little bit because of the new episode of the anime. Despite how much happened, though, I don't think I have much to talk about, really? Because I am confused, in case you can't tell from the tone of my voice. So we're gonna go into spoiler time. If you don't want spoilers for the new anime or any future arcs, then mute now or forever regret your decision. When I pull up the menu, you can unmute as usual, yada yada, begin. So, how about Burncastle, huh? Fucking Christ. Okay. I think really, like, the only conclusion I can derive from any of that is one of two things. Higurashi Go is either actually a prequel, or Higurashi Go is an alternate universe? Oh, well, no, it could also still be a sequel. But I feel like it's really hard to say it's a sequel anymore. The only way in which it could be a sequel is if it does still happen prior to Umineko, but of course after the main events of Higurashi, and Rika slowly turns into Burncastle off screen, because like I was under the impression Burncastle is supposed to be the amalgamation of Rika's from failed timelines. So like take Rika from Onikakushi, Watanagashi, Tatarigoroshi, etc, etc, etc. All the ones that we don't see even, mesh them together, that's Burncastle. That's what I thought, at least. Perhaps I'm wrong, but perhaps that's also still right, because I suppose you could say that since it's the same consciousness, whether it's Rika or Burncastle at this point, since it's the same person, the same being, experiencing all of these roots from the same perspective of Rika Furude, and dying on most of them, I suppose you could say that indeed, these arcs are, well, they are an amalgamation of all the failed Rikas, because they are all the failed Rikas, you know? So that's really all I can say. If it's a prequel to the original Higurashi, that's kind of weird, but I think it's still possible. I feel like it'd be kind of stupid, but I don't know. I can't really even justify it being a prequel. I feel like it can only really be a very weird sequel, like Burncastle origin story, or a parallel universe. But technically each arc is a parallel universe, but also not, so I don't know. Yeah, it's very weird. And as for what's gonna happen in what I'm guessing is gonna be the last episode of Watadamashi on Thursday, not a clue, unless they're trying to throw us for another loop. Like, maybe the point of Onidamashi was to make us think, alright, each of these arcs are going to be similar but different. So with Onidamashi, like, it's like Onikakushi, except Rena also has Hinamizawa syndrome. And so Keiichi and Rena duke it out and kill each other. Or nearly kill each other. Keiichi killed Rena, Rena didn't kill Keiichi, whatever, yada yada yada. And so that led me to think Watadamashi might be, alright, it's gonna be similar to Watanagashi in how Shion has Hinamizawa syndrome, but also Mion does, for example. But then possibly not? Maybe it's still going almost the exact same as Watanagashi? Maybe it is going almost the exact same as Watanagashi because Rika didn't know what happened in that arc, maybe. Because it's like, we need to remember, she only sees things from her own perspective. So, like, in Watanagashi, Rika's there. She sees Keiichi give the doll to Mion, or to Rena, and then later she ends up in Mion's house. She still thinks it's Mion, probably. Gets killed. And maybe somewhere along the way is just like, so this was probably caused by the doll. That's my only guess. This has got to be caused by the doll. And so, when she gets to Watadamashi, she's just like, alright, I know how to solve this tragedy. This is easy. I just have to get Keiichi to give the doll to Mion. Because then that would cause Mion from not killing fucking everybody. And then, Kimiyoshi still goes missing, and she's just like, well, fuck, I don't know what to think of that. The only problem with that is the fact that Kimiyoshi disappears and or dies 24 hours-ish earlier than he does in Watanagashi. As for what causes that, I don't know, but the only other difference that's really been brought forward was said in a comment last episode. That's the text log. If you unmuted, you're stupid. Get baited, nerds. Mute now. Okay, because I'm still talking about spoilers, so mute or die, I guess. So, another comment last episode from Dapper Shinks. I don't know if I'm gonna read the whole thing this time, because I'm not sure it's all incredibly relevant to what I'm trying to talk about here. But the last thing that the commenter talks about says, also Hanyu isn't present in Go, or at least she isn't on Rika's side, thinking emoji. The head falling was a substitute for Hanyu jumping up and down to get Tomatake to check on them. So that's like the only other major difference that I can really see going on here, and it's Hanyu's influence. Because I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot that Hanyu was supposed to be Oyashiro. So it kind of really paints that whole scene in the storehouse in a completely different light, with me having been told and remembering that the jumping noise, the banging that Shion and Tomatake heard, was Hanyu jumping up and down. Because it's like, Hanyu's not really a creepy character at all. Like, she can get serious, I know that, but she's just another cutesy Higurashi character to completely to continue with the whole duality of this game's so cute, also terrifying, but so cute, you know? So just thinking that thumping noise was Hanyu jumping up and down to get Tomatake to check on them. You see, I don't fully remember the context. I don't know what Tomatake checking on them does. Like, maybe if Tomatake didn't check on them, Takano was going to kill Keiichi and Shion, maybe? I don't know, I kind of doubt it. But Takano being there, but then no. Because in Watanagashi, Rika shouldn't have known that, Takano was the bad guy. Or maybe Hanyu did, but Rika didn't. I don't know. I don't fully remember, like, everything about Hanyu. Hanyu is one of the harder things to pin down in my memory. But, yeah, because all I really remember is she existed in Arc 7, and she existed harder in Arc 8, and that's it. So, yeah. Otherwise, though, Hanyu not being on Rika's side, or at least not doing anything, is kind of weird. maybe it's Featheren's influence, because I do know Hanyu and Featheren look pretty similar, or at least have a similar aesthetic. They don't really look similar, but they have a similar aesthetic. With the whole horns in a kimono type thing. Well, Featheren doesn't have horns. She has, like, a disc around her head, which looks like horns from most angles, but that's about it. Regardless, the head falling on the Oyashiro statue, that statue is pretty different from how it was in the visual novel. I don't know fully how important that is, but yeah, the only other big difference, really, was Tomitake and Takano stealing a car to drive off. Because it's like, yeah, they disappeared, and I'm pretty sure they did disappear the night of the Watanagashi, but they were discovered dead. And I believe their car and bike, or whatever they initially took to get to the festival, were still there in the visual novel. So I don't know, like, Takano walks off, kills Tomitake, fakes her own death, and hides in her laboratory wherever the fuck it was. And bada bing, bada boom, there you go, there's that. But as for what happened here, they escaped, they booked it. They weren't found dead or anything. Kimiyoshi went missing. As for who is just like, hey, Kimiyoshi's missing, I don't know how anyone noticed that immediately, so maybe that was prodded by Shion or Mion. Anyways, who knows, but yeah, the only other real thing I can say, well, no, those are really the only things I can say. Well, the only thing I think I can safely say as to what's going on in this arc is the only way I can rationalize Rika/Bernkastel's outburst is she's like, I don't understand this fragment in particular, so I don't fucking care, you know? She seems a lot more apathetic than she usually does. So, yeah. That's all I really gotta say, so, gaboom. Welcome back, guys. You didn't get baited this time. Let's continue. In the end, my selfish request was readily granted. As Satoko muttered complaints under her breath, quite merrily, she came with me to the store. Rika-chan didn't come with us. She said she had a thing she wanted to do or something. I believed her when she told me, but when I really thought about it, I started to think maybe she was being considerate towards Satoko in her own way. Without Rika-chan here, Satoko was prouder and more loquacious, okay, than ever. Never heard of that word.
Do you understand? Supermarkets will put things on sale when it gets near closing time. For example, you can't have a stir fry without some pork, and if we wait a little longer, it'll be marked half off. They can't sell meat or fish once it's not fresh anymore, so they make it all cheaper in a last-ditch effort to not to have anything left over. Of course, every veteran housewife is familiar with this concept, and when we get close to happy hour like we are now...
And I wasn't really listening to her, but she was telling me all this quite proudly. Every time I seemed surprised at something, or made an affirmative grunt in place of conversation, Satoko would say, "You don't know anything, do you, Keiichi-san?" and smile very happily in spite of her complaints. That's a question though, how the fuck are Satoko and Rika getting their hands on money to live? Do they not need to pay rent? Like, do they already own the house? Do they not need to pay for electricity? Do they have electricity? I mean, I imagine they would. But, like, what's going on there? She led me by the hand to all sorts of stalls, one after the other. And for food, obviously. That's, like, the big thing. She was in such a supreme mood that just being with her cheered me up. Merely being pulled into Satoko's space was a lot of fun. Hey, why don't we just go with this economy size pack? Whoa, there's a real good-looking one with cheese in it over here.
Keiichi-san, you have no financial sense. Look at this. It's over our budget. We don't have enough money.
Satoko pushed a handful of receipts in my face. Why can't Satoko do these kinds of mental calculations when she's at school? Drat. Should we buy a load of the normal ones or buy fewer of the better stuff with the cheese in it? This is quite troubling.
Calm down. For boys at your age, it's wiser to choose quantity over quality.
Satoko, you're being too strict. A man's heart desires both quality and quantity. Why can't you understand that?
No matter the size of a man's heart, his wallet won't be any bigger. I swear! Hey, stop clinging to the glass so stubbornly!
After enjoying ourselves in such an exchange, we started to hear energetic voices coming from over by the butcher we visited earlier. I could see a handful of housewives flooding the place.
Oh no! If we don't hurry, all the half-off pork will be gone!
Ow, ow! Don't pull me! Don't pull on my neck! Satoko really seemed like she was having fun. She looked like a kid who had grabbed her family's hands while running towards an amusement park attraction. In the end, the bag of pork we obtained was so normal that it almost hurt, but I knew that it would taste absolutely delicious. Outside, at some point, the cicadas had been replaced by the Higurashi's chorus. Are those not the same thing? Okay, whatever. Maybe they're like a different species of cicada or something? I thought Higurashis were cicadas, aren't they? Or are they a specific kind? Whatever. The air was so clear and it felt so good. Our silhouettes stretching out on the ground made for a really wonderful picture. We had filled our bicycle baskets to the brim with our shopping bags. They only contained ingredients and various other foodstuffs. Even so, every last thing packed in them sort of looked really happy, and made me feel really happy in turn. Going shopping for dinner seems pretty sensible too. Makes you really enjoy your meals. Can't wait to eat.
That's a part of cooking for yourself as well. Dinner starts while you're shopping for it.
I'm so excited for this. Vegetable stir fry isn't even in my mom's cookbook. I never get to eat it unless we go out to a Chinese place. So I'm really looking forward to it today.
That is indeed a pity. Then today I will present to you an especially tasty dish.
Normally, right about now, was the time I would start messing with her. But I didn't. Yeah, I bet you'll end up making something really great. I'm really looking forward to it. She stammered for a second. Satoko had been prepared for me to start making fun of her right then too, and when it didn't come, she was surprised. Or maybe she stammered for some other reason. I don't know. But I immediately knew she wasn't feeling anything bad.
Yes! I'll deliver an extraordinarily delectable dish. You'd better look forward to it.
As Satoko and I rode back on our bikes, I had a thought. Was I this sort of person? Until now, I would have lashed back at Satoko right away if she did something to me. Yeah, that was the kind of relationship we had. We would poke at each other a little, then kick up a storm while nitpicking at one another. At some point, that had changed. We weren't playing our usual tit for tat. I didn't provoke her, so we didn't fight. That went for Satoko, too. Satoko, who I thought I knew, hadn't been like this until now. Our relationship was changing, little by little. And that's what it felt like. But it wasn't something I had to worry about. It was like our relationship had become a little bit happier, a little bit more charming. I wonder why we changed like this. Was she lonely and projecting her older brother Satoshi, who hadn't returned home, onto me? Rika-chan told me about that yesterday. That was probably exactly it. So as my actions drew closer to Satoshi's, Satoko was returning to how she'd been when she was living happily with her brother. In other words, this Satoko was the real Satoko. Satoko had been able to see her brother again, and had finally gone back to normal. Now that I'd been playing the role of her brother, I'd discovered that she really could smile so sweetly. But I wasn't Satoshi Hojo. I was Keiichi Maebara, a totally different person. I couldn't become her brother. I could come close, but I could never really get there. That was vaguely, somehow, a little sad. I was wearing Satoshi's mantle, and that would have to come off one day. And that would doubtlessly put an end to this meager, nostalgic, peaceful time of Satoko's. A limited tranquility. A tranquility that would end one day. Putting it in those terms, it really was sad. I shook my head firmly and drove off those pointless thoughts.
What's the matter, Keiichi-san?
Sorry, it's nothing.
If it's nothing, then please don't act all strange like that. It makes me worried that you might have eaten something rotten.
Right. Sorry, Satoko. Nagging like always, but she still seemed really happy. That mood of hers drew me in, putting a smile on my own face. Hey, Keiichi Maebara, why don't we quit thinking about this having to end one day? And if it will, then just think about it when it happens. There was one thing, however, that I could say for sure. As long as I smiled like this, Satoko's own smile would never wane. So as long as I stay this way, this tranquility would never end. Satoshi would come back one day too. That might happen a lot further away than I'd like, but until that day, what's wrong with me being a replacement for him? Saying that I'm not a real brother, so I can't become Satoshi, that was just an excuse. If I just didn't run away, Satoko would stay happy and live a fun life of annoyed nitpicking. I don't know what happened to Satoshi, or what made him abandon Satoko and run away, but just seeing Satoko in such a good mood made me think I could persevere as long as I needed to. So this is what I thought. I wouldn't become Satoshi. I would become a replacement brother. Okay, dude. This is it! This is the kind of stir-fry I was waiting for! It's great! It's absolutely great! The salt and pepper in the broth. Man! I could eat an entire pot of this!
Stop that, Keiichi-san! You're spilling food everywhere! The food isn't going to run away. You don't need to eat it so fast.
No, it will run away! The best and freshest flavors are running away from the moment the meal is completed. If you were to make 100 delicious things, then I would have a duty to taste every one of them. It's just good manners to do so.
Your feelings are more than enough. So calm down and enjoy your food.
You're right, I'm sorry. No insults here. I meekly scratched my head, then put down my chopsticks and laughed along with her like it was funny. I ended up doing most of the eating. Satoko was barely taking a bite. She seemed satisfied just by watching me enjoy the food so much. Whenever I filled my mouth with more of her delicious meal, Satoko looked glad. That let me enjoy the food even more. In this way, she kept smiling happily the whole time. Looking at her made me really happy as well. The time passed, softly and gently. Before, I would have gone back and forth hurling insults with Satoko. In other words, we would have gotten into a fight right away. I'd never known I could feel such peace of mind by talking to her honestly like this. I was a little bit happy about having discovered this new side of Satoko. For example, I was eating food that Satoko had made. There wasn't an inch of me that thought it was suspicious. Before, however, Satoko would have definitely put some sort of a trap into this. I think I ate too much. I'm gonna take a dump.
Hey, Keiichi-san! It's bad manners to say such words during a meal.
What should I say? I'm going to the bathroom? The toilet? The lavatory? Satoko looked down, her face bright red, and pointed down the hallway as if to say, just go already. Whoops, my old habits seem to have come back. But, yeah, this wasn't all that bad either. No weird schemes. Everything is just natural. And, while having such utterly unguarded thoughts, I went into the bathroom. Tug. My foot caught on something string-like. Oh. Huh? Bang, kerslam. Yeah? Rattle, rattle. A kettle? A wash tub? Satoko! She got me. I can't believe her. She always does this when I let my guard down. I can't relax for a minute around her. Still, it was kind of funny, and I didn't really feel like getting angry. Satoko, laughing uproariously, came over.
See? See? I knew you would fall for it sooner or later.
Why, you little... I let my guard down for 1 second, and this is what I get! I picked up the wash tubs that had crashed into my head and went to go hit Satoko with it. But then I doubled over with the laughter that has been welling up within me, so I couldn't manage it. I wish things could go on forever like this. It's not like I was having the most fun since coming to Hinamizawa or anything, but it was probably the first time that I'd spent my day so simply and comfortably. It really wasn't worth much. It was only a few hours after all. As an only child, it was my first taste of having a sibling. Just washing dishes with her felt really nice. Side by side we washed, with the experienced Satoko doing most of the work as I threw in appropriate words to add to the conversation. The scene was so commonplace, and yet so mild and warm. Maybe I had felt this kind of warmth before too, in the past. I think I've stood next to the sink with my mother like this when I was little. It made me feel nostalgic when I remembered it. It was the same sort of slow, easy time. It was tranquil. Such a quiet tranquility that the fact I wasn't uneasy about anything itself almost made me uneasy. Hey, wait, Keiichi Maebara. You feel uneasy about something just from spending time so leisurely? There's nothing at all to feel uneasy about. I mean, why would I be punished for enjoying a gentle life? I'd do anything to keep these days going, and I would never do anything bad, no matter what. I'd work hard for it, and endure much for it. So, God, it's not much of a dream to want this kind of thing to keep on going. But can't you grant it? Your phone's ringing, dude.
No? Is that not the telephone? Who could it be at this hour?
Oh, you're right. I hadn't noticed until she mentioned it. I hurried to stand up, then ran to the phone. Who could it be at a time like this? I did feel a little like the phone had interrupted my happy moment, but I still wanted to brag about how happy the time I was spending made me, no matter who it was on the other side. Hello? This is Maebara speaking. Hello? Keiichi, it's your mother. Oh, hello, Mom. What is it? It's pretty late. That was a little cold of me, when she was only calling because she was worried about her son. I couldn't help but give myself a dry smile. Sounds like you're doing just fine for yourself. I was worried that you couldn't make dinner and went to bed hungry. Nah, it worked out. Did you make dinner properly? What'd you have tonight? It was vegetable stir-fry, rice, and miso soup. Bought stuff right at the supermarket, plus a whole bunch of side dishes just for fun. Oh yeah, listen to this. I got the pork during the sale and got a half off. The things a housewife knows, right? And also, all of that was thanks to Satoko and not something I should be proud about. But still, I couldn't help but want to boast about the dinner tonight. It seemed like Mom got the hint that I was in a really good mood. I see. I'm so relieved that you're doing just fine. Oh, yes, another thing. Your dad and I finished up with our job. We think we'll be back tomorrow afternoon or evening. Oh, I see. You did well for 2 nights. We've been pulling all-nighters too. It was a lot of work, but we managed to fill the gap in your dad's mentor's event. Cool. That's good. Well done. Why did my parents coming home seem so disappointing? I knew a little bit of the reason, of course. This tranquility I never wanted to end was about to end so readily, and it was a little painful. After being asked what kind of souvenir I wanted from Tokyo and replying that anything edible would be great, I put down the receiver, and Satoko appeared, having finished cleaning up her trap. At first, Satoko was in a very good mood, but when she saw me put down the receiver with an uncertain expression, her own clouded over a bit. It seemed like she'd gotten the gist of what my phone conversation had been about.
Was that your parents, Keiichi-san?
Yeah. Mom says they'll be back tomorrow.
Oh, that's good then. I won't have to go to the trouble of making you dinner tomorrow. Now you can enjoy your meals with just your family.
No, that's not it. When I think about the dull, plain dinner table coming back tomorrow, it's a little lonely.
You sure do live in luxury. A family sitting around the dinner table is the most fun way to enjoy a meal of all.
Her brother, Satoshi, running away from home came to mind immediately, but there was no gloom in the way she said it.
It was only for 2 days, but they were very enjoyable dinners.
Well then, next time I'll go to your house to visit.
Huh?
Satoko momentarily made a happy smile, but then a second later it changed to an expression of surprise.
My house is small, and it's dirty, and the kitchen isn't as good as this one.
Well, I don't mind. But, well, if you don't want to, then I won't. Satoko shook her head firmly, her whole body expressing denial. I gotta get you to teach me a whole bunch more stuff, too. I finally managed to figure out how to use the rice cooker and how to cook miso soup, after all.
That's right, isn't it? Perhaps we should use this opportunity to have you learn more about cooking.
It was so like Satoko to take this chance to proclaim that it was all for my sake. But there was no way to conceal her own enthusiasm. It was true that this gentle time would come to an end when my parents got back. There was no need to lament that, though. I can easily put in the effort to continue our mild moments like this. Like yesterday, Satoko told me she didn't need to be escorted home. But Rika-chan wasn't with her tonight. She would be going home by herself. Everyone knew everyone else's face here in Hinamizawa, so it wasn't like it was dangerous to go out at night, but it still wasn't good to send a girl on her way all alone. At the very least, that's what I thought as Satoko's older brother. I'll take you as far as the school, at least. There's more lights over in that direction anyway.
It's really fine, alright? If someone bad shows up, I will take them down with one finger.
There was no point in pressing her any more on the subject, so I took a handful of Satoko's hair and rubbed her head vigorously. Come on, Satoko, don't complain so much. Your Nini will bring you part of the way there. That's what I was about to say when I suddenly got embarrassed and my voice trailed off. Nini could only be the nickname Satoko gave to her older brother and nothing else. I was about to use it pretty lightly, so I started to feel apologetic and a little ashamed.
Nini?
Eh? What did Satoko just say?
Well, Keiichi-san just seems like an older brother. That is, what I said. It's not quite right, but you seem kind of alike, so I just...
Satoko laughed awkwardly and turned red in the face. Of course, I was embarrassed when I saw her too, because the fact that I was trying to act like her brother had gotten across. A warm feeling spread out from my chest. It was completely different from romantic feelings, thank God. Jesus Christ, I'm glad that you didn't have to put that disclaimer, but like, I guess it's a good thing that you did. Or any of those more impatient emotions. It was much more graceful, quiet, and warm, and calm. Satoko still needed her Nini. I had initially thought Rika-chan was being sly by not coming today, but when I thought about it like this, I could feel a kind thoughtfulness of her worrying about a good friend's feelings. Maybe Rika-chan had understood that she couldn't play the part of a brother herself. So then... No, let's stop there, Keiichi Maebara. There's no point in thinking about it so hard. It means everyone feels the same way. It means everyone wants Satoko to be happy. Satoko was acting as though her Nini running away from home didn't bother her at all. Even though that wasn't actually the case. She was very sad and always waiting for him to come home. Because Satoko was a stable person when she was his sister. In order for her to really be this level-headed, having a brother was something she couldn't do without. In other words, Satoko still needed a brother. Nobody had the right to smile it away as childish immaturity. In fact, they deserve praise for being so close to each other as siblings. That role of brother should be played by her real Nini, by Satoshi. But unfortunately, he wasn't here. So, since I'm here, I'll play the part. And not with a guilty conscience, but in a very natural way. Because, is there something wrong with seeing Satoko smile so happily?
What is it, Keiichi-san? You've been smirking for quite a while now.
Is it weird for me to look happy?
It isn't weird or anything, but, well...
The sound of the motor on her bike light was too loud and I couldn't hear what Satoko said. Motor on her bike light? Excuse me? There are motors on bike lights? It's okay. Huh? What? What'd you say?
Nothing. You really are just like Nini, you know? Keiichi-san.
Is that right?
Of course, you're completely different from my real Nini. But, like, there's things that you do the same. It's really a mystery.
The same? Do you feel lonely when you remember Nini? Once I said that, I thought for a moment that was absolutely the wrong thing to say, but Satoko didn't seem to mind one bit.
It's not that I'm lonely, since Keiichi-san is being my Nini for me right now.
Well, wait, that's Satoko. As I was flustered for a moment at her hitting the mark, Satoko suddenly asked me a question in a calm voice. It was very quiet, composed, an adult question. I'm guessing it means a very quiet, blah blah blah.
Was it Rika?
It was quiet, but her voice sounded lonely somehow.
Didn't Rika ask you to act like my Nini for me?
Is that what you think?
Please don't take offense. Rika is strangely considerate of me, but it really doesn't bother me that much.
I could say for sure that, at least, was a lie. Yesterday and today, Satoko had been so happy spending time like this with me as siblings. And that was proof itself that she was lying about it not getting to her. So I gave Satoko a light poke in the head. You're thinking too much, dummy. I'm me, Keiichi Maebara. I'm not your Nini, not Satoshi Hojo.
I know that.
Despite her saying that, her expression seemed a little lonesome. At this point, Satoko herself had realized that her question had been the wrong thing to say. We didn't need to keep talking about something that Satoko regretted. So in order to cut the conversation short, I grabbed Satoko's head and pet her. Let's not talk about silly things like that. It's getting late, so get back home, brush your teeth, and go to bed. And rinse your mouth before sleeping too. It'll keep you from getting a cold.
You're one to talk, Nini. Be sure to brush your teeth, okay? Rinse your mouth and wash your hands. Then get your books ready tomorrow. And...
I wondered what kind of siblings Satoko and Satoshi were. I've never seen them together, but I could say without a doubt that they were really close. As for the way in which they were close, it was probably quite like this. It was so cool that the day's heat seemed like a lie, and yet the moonlight was somehow faintly warm. The quiet chorus of the insects was pleasing to the ears. That was nice. This chapter's very nice and fluffy so far. Can't wait for tragedy to happen again. Oh, Satoko's Trap Course Intermediate. Okay. Awesome. Oh, achievement unlocked, Trials and Tribulations. Awesome. Here we go. How are all of them gonna get trapped this time? I could see Tomita-kun and Okamura-kun walking over to the gym storehouse. They needed to get the bag of lime used to make the lines on the court for our next gym class. They were on duty today after all, but in that storehouse, a terrible trap was awaiting them. Being on this side of the trap for once, it's really thrilling.
Oh, if you realize that is the true pleasure in setting up traps, then you have the potential yourself, Keiichi-san.
The two of them fumbled around with the gym storehouse's lock. Oh? What's this? Okamura-kun pointed at part of the door and started whispering to Tomita-kun. Then, realizing something, they both jumped away from the door. Oh, Satoko, I think they found out. Did we mess up?
I had calculated that they would notice the trap at the entrance. And of course, I've calculated what action they will take now.
According to Satoko, after they noticed a suspicious trap on the door, they would go around and try to get in through the back window. And just as she'd prophesized, they went around to the back. And just as she prophesized, they climbed up, opened the window, and tried to sneak in. Wow, amazing. Everything's exactly like you said. I got them! A poof. Poof! An explosion of pure white lime burst out of the window. After a few moments, the two of them managed to crawl away from the window, both of them completely white. Ha!
This is the moment I live for! Tastes like honey!
But still, that was some trap. You would have had to know everything to set something up like, to set something like that up. Where they'd put their hands, their legs, where they'd jump down.
Listen carefully, Keiichi-san. The first step to making a trap is to watch and observe the victim. You must scrupulously predict their movement patterns, how they'll move at any given moment. If you do that, then you can achieve the greatest possible results with only the most minimal trap.
Come to think of it, before Satoko read the final move at that final moment earlier, Mion had given her high praise, saying she had the makings of a genius. So, it's all about reading the opponent. So then, the traps you've caught me in before, they worked because you figured out everything I'd do?
Yes, I can see right through all your actions, and that's how I set them up. So if one day you suddenly started having different habits and behavior, I wouldn't be able to anymore.
Bragging that she could anticipate everything I'd do. That was kinda mean. Okay then, let's play a game now. I want to test whether your predictions are accurate.
Yes, that is fine with me. Keiichi-san, you're particularly easy to get a read on. I could do it before breakfast.
When we went back to the classroom, Satoko tore off pieces of paper and wrote something on the back of them, making 3 cards. Of course, I didn't know what she'd written.
Please, pick one of these cards, Keiichi-san. If you do not pick one that says you're a loser, you will win.
Great, you're on! The club has built up my sensitivity to this stuff, so I'll smash right through your predictions. Satoko smirks and holds out the 3 cards. Set your mind to full power by calming it, Keiichi Maebara. Cool and collected is how you'll win. If I don't pick the losing one, I'll win. Which means if I do pick it, Satoko will win. In other words, Satoko wants to make me pick the losing one. What would she do to make sure I pick the losing one? Could she even predict something like that? Statistically speaking, isn't there some rule that says I'm more likely to pick the one in the middle or the ones on either side? And then it hits me like a flash. This is what Mion would do.
Now, which one will you pick?
I've made my decision. And it is this one!
Huh? What are you doing?
I steal all 3 cards from Satoko's hands. I predicted what Satoko would do in advance. Satoko wanted to make sure I picked the losing one, which meant all 3 of these were losing ones. And that's how I knew. Allow me to look at all 3. I flip all 3 cards face up, and on each one there is a single word. You're a loser. Get fucked, dude. What is this? You're a loser. Huh?
It means just what it says. If you had only chosen one, you wouldn't have lost.
But what if he chose the one that says loser? Like, wait, what? Then you predicted that I draw all 3? I held my head in my hands and fainted as Satoko reveled at the might of her abilities. You just faint from that? Great job, dude. Her shrill laughter echoed throughout the classroom. And then there was a poof as lime powder came down upon Satoko's head. I looked to see Tomita-kun and Okamura-kun, all in white, dumping a whole bag of lime powder on her and getting their revenge.
What? What are you suddenly trying to do, you two?
Looks like there's no use talking to the person who set up that trick.
Well, excuse me! Would you happen to have any proof? And I'd like it if you didn't call it something so inelegant. A trick. I would prefer you call it something more refined. A trap, please.
That being said, these 2 pretending to be tough. Not only that, but standing still, completely blank and silent. But anyway, ignoring what happened before, having someone chase you with their mouth full of lime in such a way that they can't even speak. Yeah, that'd be scary even for Satoko.
Eek! Keiichi-san, help me!
Our underclassmen crashed around the classroom in furious combat, getting light lime everywhere. Hey, Satoko? Why couldn't you see this coming exactly? At the time, I hadn't seen something coming too, though. The teacher coming to me afterward and giving us all a stern talking to. They don't have the, like, logo show up at the end of tips in this chapter. That's weird. Maybe that didn't load in with the patch, or just happens to be the case for this arc. Budding, 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 budding. Oh, really? Your parents came home, huh? They smelled like energy drinks, and their eyes were all bloodshot. They said they had a crazy amount of stuff to do, and were up 2 whole nights in a row. Adults have it tough.
Your dad is an artist, right? They really do have it rough. Come to think of it, he was, wasn't he? I would very much like to see what kind of things he draws sometime.
An artist, huh? I'd seen a number of watercolor and acrylic paintings on display, but he had to have been doing some other job too. Just what did Dad do exactly? He didn't let anyone into his workshop after all. I wanted to sneak a peek one day. So the house was empty for 2 days after all that? That didn't leave much time. So, Kei-chan, did you manage to go after the character who was in your heart? The absence of parents is a must-have for eroge protagonists.
He built up a lot of relationship points and raised all the right flags.
I have no idea what any of you are talking about. Did eroge really exist in the 80s? I would imagine possibly, but to a lesser extent.
That means you don't need to cook for yourself anymore, Keiichi-kun. What'd you make last night?
In the end, I didn't make a single thing myself. Last night's dinner, well, it was vegetable stir-fry. Wow! Kei-chan, you can make a little bit of real cooking now, huh?
You made vegetable stir-fry? Did it come out good? Did it? Rena-san, you're being unpleasant. Why are you clinging to me? A delicious meal and friendly dishwashing together. How nice, how nice. Hey! I said you're being unpleasant!
Huh? What are you talking about? Mion, utterly confused, asked me for clarification, but I just barely, albeit transparently, averted my eyes. Right. Does anyone have plans for this afternoon? You don't, do you? Do you? Today was Saturday, the beautiful day on which we're liberated from the confines of school in the afternoon. Actually, the school in Hinamizawa had slightly different Saturdays than those in the city. There were a lot of students here who brought a bento, ate it at lunch, and then went to play in the school or around the schoolyard. You could say that the entire school turned into a children's playground. There were mountains behind the school, and if you went down that way, you'd find mountain streams. You could avoid the strong sunlight and make conversation in the classroom if you wanted to. You could also play hide and seek in the construction pipes. Of course, you were free to go home as well. There were some kids who went home and helped water the fields or tended the stores. If Mion was bringing up the afternoon like this, then it must have been for some crazy big club event. However, sadly, I had something I needed to do before taking part in whatever it was.
You have work? That's unlucky. I wonder what kind of work it is. Maybe helping his father with his artwork job. Or being a model for his father's art? A model? A nude one?
Very out of character for Rena to say that, but okay. I looked into Rena's eyes and saw myself completely naked in a questionable pose with a single rose in my mouth. No! I wouldn't do that for 1,000,000 yen! But for 1,000,000,000! To get rid of Rena's delusions, I grabbed her head and swung it from side to side.
Stop!
Sorry. Leaving your fanciful delusions aside, I have something to do real quick during lunch. I'm okay to meet up with you after I'm done, though. Work during lunch? I see. That sounds kind of cool, actually. What could it be? Are you having a banquet with VIP experts? Like a business lunch? Ugh, this is truly sad, but you're right. What? Everyone shouts wildly, surprised. No, what? That's weird. Okay, zoom. It was true. Today I'd be on the job with my family. For my dad's job, he was having about 10 people from the publishing agency over for a house party. He called people from work for a party the day after having stayed up 2 nights in a row. I'm amazed at their vitality. Adults have it pretty rough. Of course, it would be incredibly uncomfortable for me. It would be really tiring to have to force myself to smile at some old dudes I didn't know. But they were my dad's important business connections, so offending them would be bad. Well, with all that said, it was going to get very uncomfortable for me today, starting at lunch. Well, what an intelligent child. This is my son, Keiichi. Keiichi, this is Honda-san. He's a publisher. And this person here is Inoue-san, who works as a printer. Say your hellos. Hello. My name's Keiichi. I appreciate all you've done for my father. Keiichi-kun, do you draw pictures like your father does? I would very much like to see them. My dad had such a brazen occupation, that of an artist. Although, I don't really know what kind of things he creates. I don't really care, and I don't want to see anyway. Dad's so tight-fisted about it, so he doesn't show them to me very often anyway. not a kid anymore, so I wouldn't care at all if they were pictures of naked ladies or anything. If you study under your father as an apprentice, you'd be able to become a great artist like him too. Excuse me, this is just between you and me, but my dad, is he really that great of an artist? I'd readied myself and whispered my question. It might have seemed odd for his son to be asking this, but when I did, he gave me this really strange grin and tightly clamped down onto my shoulders. Yes! He is truly a fantastic artist! Is that so? I'm glad to hear it. There are no purchase restrictions. He does fan service, and he always answers the letters he gets. He has an inquisitive mind, always on the prowl for what the world needs. Taking off your socks? Absolutely not! And that goes for glasses and school uniforms too. Mayabara-sensei understands these things perfectly. Every event sees him along the wall with a huge lineup. I'm sorry, but his pictures, they're not ones you hang on the wall? Not at all! In the beginning, everyone starts in the islands, and then to their corners, and finally climbing up to the corners of the larger pass. The final destination is the famous wall! You too, please become a great artist who can display his works in unison with Mayabara-sensei. I'll cheer you on! It's fine to have a lot of passion for the things you like, but I didn't get it, but it seemed that the world of art ran pretty deep. It was probably a much deeper world than I could have imagined. I decided to leave it at that. Then I realized my mom was calling me from the other side of the room. Keiichi, it's the phone. It's a friend of yours. A lucky break. Maybe I could get out of this uncomfortable business party by using a friend's phone call as an excuse. I scampered over to the front door and snatched up the receiver my mom had left there. Hello? It's me.
Hello, me. That's not how you answer the phone, Keiichi-san. I implore you, learn how to choose your words more properly.
I was of the opinion that the person speaking to me had a far stranger way of talking. Oh, it's Satoko. It's unusual for you to call my house.
This isn't the time for pleasantries. Keiichi-san, when are you going to be able to come?
Sorry. It looks like this is going a bit long. I can't get them to let me go. I want to do things with the club now, but...
That's not it, Keiichi-san. It wasn't about the club today. It's a real battle.
Satoko's voice was different from normal. I could feel the urgency in it drifting through the phone. A real battle? That doesn't sound good. What's the situation?
I will explain the particulars when we meet. Anyway, this is a terrible crisis. At this rate, we're going to lose!
What? What on earth was going on? Could it have been a fight? I didn't know who they were, but laying a hand on someone from Hinamizawa was an absolutely terrible idea. Right, got it! I'll come and reinforce you right away. Where are you at?
We're on the Okinomiya elementary school campus. There are signs at the station, so you should be able to figure it out. Anyway, we're in a huge hurry!
The school campus? The situation could have a lot of people involved. Could it have turned into an all-out brawl? Who was the enemy here anyway? Oh, I'm on fire! Got it! I'll be there soon. Should I bring a weapon with me, like a metal baseball bat or something?
You have a metal bat? That'd be fantastic! We will wait for you here.
They're just playing baseball, aren't they? The call cut off abruptly. I needed to hurry. Oh, Keiichi! I was looking for you. Deguchi-san here was hoping that for his next doujinshi... Is he a manga artist, or does he draw porn? I don't know what they're fucking trying to say about him. How's not the time? Don't we have a bat? A metal bat? If not, then anything long will do. If anything long will do, then my golf clubs are in the storage room. It didn't have the same kind of impact, but a golf club was a splendid weapon too. Until it gets knocked out of your hand, you fucking idiot. Apparently a clock's a better weapon. I have a Discord notification. Who the fuck? Colby. Give me a minute. It was lighter than a baseball bat and maybe easier for me to use. Thanks! I'm borrowing one. I really need to go see my friends for something. It's urgent. Sorry.
What, Keiichi? Wait a minute!
I grabbed the golf club, jumped on my bike, and headed straight for town. Wait for me, Satoko! I'll be right there! Just hold out until then! I didn't actually know where Okinomiya Elementary was exactly, but Satoko's phone call seemed to demand urgency, so I rushed out without asking her how to get there. but if I went to the station, there would be signs. At least I feel like that's what she said. Then I heard the jingling of a bicycle bell from behind me.
Hello there.
Hey! Rika-chan!
Keiichi, you came quickly. You put the pedal to the metal.
Damn! This isn't the time to be out of breath. I need to hurry! Sorry, where is Okinomiya Elementary?
I'll show you the way. Come along with me.
Rika-chan rode off on her bike. I followed her. Satoko suddenly called me out here. But what on earth is going on anyway?
At first we had the advantage. However, they called in a helper. It's bad manners.
A helper? What cowards. Calling for reinforcements the minute they realized they'd lose.
They're taking everyone out one by one. We can't put a dent in them.
Gulp. Sounds like they were pretty strong. Anyway, I'll ask about it later. We don't have time, right? Please hurry!
Leave it to me.
With Rika-chan leading the way, we headed straight for the elementary school grounds. I asked Rika-chan something during that time. It seemed that all of the club members besides me were part of this fight. Damn, so what Mion was trying to tell everyone was that this would happen? If I had known that, I would have just ditched my family job. But it was too late for regrets. According to Rika-chan, we had a one-sided advantage at the start, but our angry foes had brought in a powerful ally. The club members put up a resistance and went against them one by one, but apparently they couldn't stand up to them. The combined efforts of the whole club couldn't win? Just what kind of monster is this guy?
He's amazing. This enemy is orthodox.
Orthodox? So they weren't using thuggish brawling tactics, but had actually studied karate or something? Is that what she meant?
Keiichi is our last ray of hope now.
Okinomiya Elementary came into view. I could hear many voices raising hell over there. Whoa! Mion! Rena! Satoko! I'll be there soon! I'll crush them all at once! There were a lot of bicycles left out in front of the school. I left mine there next to them in the same way. I could tell there were a lot of people flooding the campus. Were the two armies in the midst of a huge no-holds-barred brawl? I took my golf club in hand. Whoosh, I swung it. I felt the sensation of it sticking firmly to my palm. Great! The feedback wasn't bad. I'm gonna go all out with this thing! I dashed at a breakneck speed to the school gate, swinging it around. Come with me, Rika-chan! I'll show you what the mighty, manly warrior Keiichi Maebara can really do!
Wow. Keiichi, you're so reliable. You're going to rampage with a golf club.
Rika-chan applauded me, though a little dryly, lauding my valiance. The manly Keiichi Maebara put it behind him and headed for the place where he may die.
But Keiichi, why did you bring a golf club today?
I had no choice! First I figured a baseball bat would have been good, but we don't have one at my house. A golf club was far better than going barehanded, so I brought one.
How very excellent. I will give you a pat on the head. I can't wait to see your golf club rampage.
Despite the emergency situation, Rika-chan reached up and stroked me on the head. Hey! This is no time for jokes! Huh? Crack! Just then, an extremely loud metallic sound rang out, and I heard many people cheering. Left! Ah, we missed! Run! You can get to second base, go! Center! Calm down! Send it to third! The center fielder caught the ball, and after a brief pause, sent it flying to third base. If he had pitched it wildly, it might get there. He gave up on second and threw it to third with time to spare. The instructions from the bench, they were solid. Wait, what?
Oh, Keiichi-kun's here! Satoko-chan! Satoko-chan! Keiichi-kun's here! Sure, wait! Loafing around is only okay when you do it at the bread shop!
Nice pun. Oh, hey, you get introduced here? Oh, right. I forgot. Yeah, you're a baseball coach, aren't you? I did kind of forget that. Fuck, what kind of voice do I give you? Something probably pretty mild, but deep. So like, but no, Tomatake. It's like, Tomatake's like, so more like this maybe? I feel like this would work. The original Yusuke voice. Probably, yeah. I think the original Yusuke voice would work well. This Maebara-kun kid. Will he really be able to save us? We're up against that elite school's ace, left arm Kameda-kun. To be able to beat a Koshien class pitcher, he must be a god.
It's okay. I'm sure that Keiichi-kun can turn the tables. He's a really dependable person.
Murmur. What? He's the pinch hitter we brought in to take out? Left arm Kameda with his bullet fastball? The one who had one no-hit, no-run game after another during the regional qualifiers. The undefeated demon pitcher of Oshima. The super high school level pitcher. Super high school level pitcher that had already been marked by professional scouts. He's going to win against him?
Some greenhorn pitcher like that is no match for Keiichi-san. He'll send his throws all the way back to the all the way to the back screen for an easy victory.
Murmur. There was a slugger like that in this prefecture? I had no idea. He must have gone under the radar. Hey, that scout stood up. Hey, take a picture. His full name is Keiichi Maebara. Look him up in the database and send his history to our office. Which one is Keiichi Maebara? Pictures! A whole lot of sports journalists, led by Satoko, gripped their cameras tightly and searched for the rumored Keiichi Maebara. As for me, I was so dazed at what was happening that I was frozen in place with my golf club up in the air.
Keiichi-san, over here! Eh?
The camera people stared at me through their viewfinders, and just like I had, they turned to stone. In the hands of their gallant pitch hitter, Keiichi Maebara, was a golf club. Nobody could seem to understand why I was holding something like this. And at this point, neither did I. Cheap. A cold, greasy sweat dripped from me. The first one to break the inordinately awkward silence was Rena.
Keiichi-kun,
Yeah?
may we ask you a question?
Please. Please don't. Psychic waves of my entreaty... I don't know how to pronounce that word. Flowed out of my face along with my sweat. It somehow seemed to reach the two of them. The deathly quiet reporters all parted, as Moses once parted the sea. But Moses probably didn't go through the parted seas this quietly. If you were playing baseball, then tell me that from the start!
What? Did I not say that? I mean, I told you to come to the campus with a baseball bat. What else could you have thought it was? And what manner of thinking caused you to mistakenly bring a golf club here instead? I think Keiichi-kun must have done it on purpose to lighten our moods and get us pumped, I think.
Rena smiled bitterly and covered for me with all her might. Please believe her, everyone. I'm begging you.
Keiichi loves golf. Pat.
Rika-chan started patting my head, a broad grin on her face all the while. I pushed her hand away, grabbed her from behind by her suspenders, and picked her up like a kitten. Alright.
Meep.
Rika-chan! Why didn't you tell me it was a baseball game when we met at the station? I wouldn't have had to suffer such a disgrace!
Meepa.
Rika-chan's smile was like the sun, so incredibly innocent. Ugh, she's glowing. When I saw Rika-chan's radiant smile, I couldn't help but feel like I could forgive anything she did. However, if Rika-chan thought I actually would, then she had another thing coming. Anyway, this is your punishment. Rena.
Me?
Oh, I think I know what he's gonna do. Rika-chan still plucked up in my hand, I offered her to Rena. That's right. The kittenified Rika-chan sent Rena's voltage into overcharge.
I'll take her. Rena will take her. So cute.
Hop. Spinny? What? Rena stuck out her tongue like a chameleon and preyed upon Rika-chan while spinning her around. Okay.
Rika-chan so cute. Meep.
Rena held her tight as a vice and began to get her fill of rubbing her cheek into Rika-chan's. Their cheeks rubbed together tightly. Rika-chan's face. It looked like it was being crushed by Rena's. Why am I getting a Facebook call? Evan! They must want to play Genshin. First a Discord notification, and then a Facebook call. I'll be done soon, you losers!
I do not know what has happened, but it looks like Rika has gotten her just desserts.
Yeah, I recently found out that Rika-chan isn't only cute.
I got Keiichi-kun's permission. I'm gonna take you home. Meep, meep, meep.
For the moment, I just gave her a 3-minute timeout. By the way, Satoko, that urgent call was for a baseball game?
Yes, that's correct. You said you had a house party with your family? I suppose I was wrong to ask, but at times of trouble like these, you obviously must prioritize friends over family.
I felt like that's what I was supposed to be saying. What I was supposed to be saying, not you. Well, it was just a business party for my dad, I guess. I honestly felt glad to be called out here. So, what's the crisis situation like? 6-7, which means our team is losing, huh? 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th? What the heck? This game is almost about to end!
We would have had a little more time if you'd gotten here sooner! Do you have any idea how difficult it was for us to hold out for this long?
Alright, I'm sorry! Okay, so, what am I doing? Am I gonna be the pinch hitter? Just leave it to me! I may not look like it, but I went to the batting cages a lot before I moved here. My dad went there for fun, and I used to go with him pretty often. I'm pretty confident about just hitting the bat with the ball, but... Vroom! A tremendous sound rang out, the likes of which I never heard before. I'm just gonna frickin', Are they in... What? I don't know why you haven't called me. I just checked the notification just in case, and it was nothing to do with Genshin, so I don't know. The catcher's mitt trembled, sending up a light cloud of dust, telling me the tremendous sound had come from the ball. Hey, now, wait a second. What's up with that crazy fastball anyway? Surprised? Yeah, that's a bona fide Koshien level pitcher. Don't you know about Left Arm Kameda-kun? The high school ace famous in sports magazines? Sorry, can't say I do. Wait, Mion? What happened to you? Mion showed up, and to my surprise, she was wrapped up in bandages. Yeah, clearly. Just what on earth happened?
Well, you came late, so I guess we need to explain from the beginning.
Oh, Done with Rika-chan?
Yep. I had a lot of fun, and she's so cute. She's so soft and fluffy and squishy. I could just eat her cheeks 3 meals a day. Meep, I can't get married anymore.
Okay. I wonder how Rika-chan's cheeks taste if you could eat them 3 times a day. It almost flipped my own delusion switch, but I put a stop to it using logic. I was an adult. Okay, explain away. How did things get screwed up enough that a Koshien relief pitcher ended up in a baseball game for fun? Everyone exchanged glances. Then, Rena spoke for all of them.
At first, well, it was just a normal baseball game.
It's nothing much, just a little grudge match between the Hinamizawa fighters and the Okinomiya titans. We were just having a grand old time. Really, nothing much.
Well, in simpler terms, it was an intramural match. A match to settle the grudge between Hinamizawa and Okinomiya. We say grudge, but it's all pretty peaceful and friendly.
So, why is our whole club a part of it? Some of you are wearing uniforms and some aren't. Last I checked, we weren't the school baseball team.
That is, well, it was pretty irresponsible.
They happen to have some players who couldn't make it today. They were pretty down in the dumps, so we ended up getting involved post-haste. I see. So if there weren't enough members, anyone could come to the rescue, whether boy or girl, and no matter what grade they were in. That jumbled together feeling was the hallmark of our school. But Rika-chan told me we were crushing them at the beginning.
Mi is an amazing batter. She was hitting home runs left and right.
Mion proudly stuck out her chest. Doing so seemed to hurt her somehow, and she groaned pathetically.
Yes! Every time Mion-san went up to bat, she hit a home run and brought everyone on the bases in. Unlike Satoko, she can actually hit the ball. Rika! Me.
Alright, I think I got the gist of it. So, you were having a pretty easy time until that Koshien pitcher showed up. That's right. It was all of us at the beginning. Maybe we didn't get all that many points, but we were always getting people on the bases.
And Kamida-kun just happened to show up to watch the game today.
Apparently Kamida attends a fairly well-known school in our prefecture that frequently sent people to Koshien. And this man known as the ace of their baseball team, Kamida, seemed to be quite skilled. Now that I thought about it, it was certainly strange to see cameramen with journalist armbands here to watch a casual baseball game out in sticks like this.
I heard that when Kamida was little, he was on the Okinomiya Titans.
You figured it out, right? His old team was losing, so that's why he jumped in as a relief pitcher and took the mound. Now, it's just terrible. We can't even hit any foul balls, much less get anyone on base.
But still! A Koshien pitcher barging in! It's unfair, we're just playing for fun!
All the boys wearing the Hinamizawa Fighters uniform were hanging their heads in disappointment. I knew almost all of their faces. Isn't everyone here a classmate? Oh, I see. We're the only school in Hinamizawa after all. Oh, it's Tomita-kun and Okamura-kun. You were on the baseball team too? Mayabara-san. His uniform was brand new and not very dirty, fresh off the presses. I could see handmade banners with their names written on them in the grandstands. And I see, their families came to root for them in their debut game today.
Okamura said he just got his bat today as a present from his dad.
The brand new bat sparkled. With that kind of present, a man just has to perform well.
He practiced swinging a whole lot just for today. Tomita-san, well, he went too far, and he tore the skin off his hand, see? Unfortunately.
Jesus. His torn hand looked like it hurt, but from that injury, you could sense his backbone. I get it, guys. You wanted to make your big moment a good one. Vroom! The savior of the Okinomiya Titans. We could hear the sounds of this Kamida-kun's tremendous fastball practice. This was no joke. He was definitely on a level far above high school kids. But at his level, he clearly shouldn't have been interrupting a grass walk game, grudge match though it may have been. He should have understood how much better he was too. He's probably not the smartest dude around, is he? Just a good baseball player, but a dumbass. This guy. Was he being serious against opponents like these?
Yep. Rena thinks it's immature.
Rena's eyes grew harsh. It took a lot to get Rena mad. As for Tomita-kun and Okamura-kun, they were sniffling, fighting back tears. We heard another tremendous noise from the Met. I turned around, and this left-arm Kamida-kun guy was looking at us and grinning boldly. Anyway, that's how it is. Now that it's come to this, we have no choice. We have to engage in a real battle. Yeah! Looks like we have to get serious.
Yep, and then we tried getting serious. But then Michan went out with a bang.
Mion, embarrassed, scratched her head, then a moment later doubled over in pain. Went out with a bang? But how on earth did she end up getting injured like this?
It would take a really long time to explain. The one thing I can say is that she came up empty even though she pushed herself that hard.
Ugh. I risked my life, and I couldn't even get 1 point!
Our secret plan did nothing, and now we're very sad.
I couldn't even imagine what sort of secret plan it was, but it must have been crazy enough to get her that badly hurt. What the Oh, that's an actual mark on the fucking background? I've been wiping at a spot on the background for fucking like the last 30 seconds. Christ. Okay, whatever. Still though, we're playing baseball thanks to you failing, right?
Yep. Maybe Michan's last resort wasn't very baseball-like. I think. We have no other recourse now, do we? It means that we need to settle the score front and center in a manner befitting a baseball game.
That's right. We have to settle it like baseball. I think normal people would have given up and gone for a frontal attack. But as a member of our club, I wasn't about to accept that so easily. Like baseball? I don't know. If we look at it like a baseball game, then we can't be picky, can we?
It is our club's creed after all. That's correct. We can't be picky. That's the virtue of our club.
Rena and Satoko laughed to each other delightfully. It wasn't really a virtue we could brag about, but the best thing about our club was that we never rolled over and gave up.
But the cameras are all watching very closely, so it'll be hard to cheat.
Rika-chan spread her arms wide, indicating the array of reporters in the bleachers. She was right. With all those cameramen watching us through those cameras, yeah, with giant telephoto lenses, foul play would be fairly tough. That's right. That's the bottleneck. Everyone's eyes are on us. We can't be too bold. Ow.
I never did think Mii-chan's ways were very ladylike, though.
Satoko and Rika-chan both nodded behind Rena. Then let's get down to business. I could make the joke, but I don't feel like it. And our team is down 1 run right now.
Plus, it's the bottom of the 9th, and we already have 2 outs.
If this old man's plan had gone better, we'd have our bases loaded right now.
There is no point lamenting a failed plan. Our club never loses heart, and always goes on to the next one.
Satoko said eagerly, trying to cheer up the downcast Mion, whose secret plan had failed. It may have failed, but Satoko still seemed to have another. Satoko, you seem pretty cheerful. Which means you've got something up your sleeve, huh?
Keiichi-kun? Who do you think she is? It's Satoko-chan, you know? Satoko Hojo-chan.
That was right. We called her Trapmaster Satoko, didn't we? She would ensnare her opponent at the perfect moment, the very end. Everyone in our club knew that we could never, ever let our guards down against Satoko. I may have taught her, but she's grown a lot and doesn't seem to want to stop. Sometimes even I'm astonished at how she overcomes such slim margins.
By the way, me bats next, then Satoko.
We were losing by 1 point, so if we could get the next runner on a base, then the runner after that could hit a big one and end the match. And that final batter was Satoko?
See? You feel like we can win now, right?
I can't imagine what she's got set up, but it's got to be some kind of trap for sure. If I were the opposing pitcher, I'd definitely walk her. There was no way Satoko was going to hit a home run, even in my dreams. But if she was going to stand in the batter's box normally, without any kind of plan, I can't think of anything else she could do. And the fact that you called me here... I see. I think I know where this is going. It meant that I was a necessary piece of Satoko's trap.
I'm excited! I wonder what Satoko will do! I can't wait to see Satoko's walk-off home run either.
Kei-chan is indispensable for this. Understand? This is our last chance at creating an upset. We absolutely cannot fail. Right, that much I know for sure. Just watch. Satoko and I will give you all front row seats to the greatest turnaround victory of all time.
Then I'll explain your instructions, Keiichi-san. Lend me your ear for a moment.
Satoko and I huddled up in a hidden place and held a briefing that anyone watching could tell was suspicious. I wonder what Mayabara-san and Hojo are talking about. I pray it's not some crazy trick like the one the president used. Our teammates, Tomita-kun and Okamura-kun, seemed very nervous. Rena gave them a wide smile, trying to dispel their anxiety.
It'll be okay, everyone. Satoko-chan and Keiichi-kun will be able to pull this off for us.
But Ryugu-san, we're up against a Koshien pitcher. I don't know if Satoko's traps will be much good. Now, everyone, be silent and watch. You're gonna get to see an interesting game. Mion, who knew everything about to transpire, looked like she was having a hard time stifling the laughter bubbling up within her. She was so terrifying as an enemy, but so reliable as an ally. Mion waved her hands at the umpire. We've got a pinch hitter. hi, Mion Sonosaki. I'm switching out with Keiichi Maebara. Are you sure he'll be alright? The umpire... Oh, he's the umpire? Okay, I thought he was a coach. The umpire turned an uneasy gaze on the pinch hitter who had jumped in with a golf club.
Don't underestimate Keiichi-kun now.
The members of our club were the only ones grinning with wholehearted confidence. Oh. Okay. I didn't expect you to change chapters now. Alright. Well, I have a pretty good place to end then, as long as there's no tips, which I don't think there would be, and there don't seem to be. Alrighty. Well, in that case then, that's going to be it for this episode, guys. If you liked it, then be sure to press the like button, and if you didn't like it, then fuck you too. Remember to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on all my videos and stuff. And as always, my name is Godzi, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye!